The NFL season finale is coming to an end. We've got week 18 and it's time to determine what the playoff picture looks like. I am Marcelo presented by theknow.com, and here today we're going to talk about playoff seeding and the playoff picture going into week 18. And let's start off with the AFC. Now, the Baltimore Ravens have already clinched the number 1 seed. So home field advantage belongs to them as they try to make a pursuit to the Super Bowl. Now, going in at number 2, it appears to be up between the Miami Dolphins, who look to have already clinched a playoff spot, but who are also seeking an AFC East title. Now, they match up with the Buffalo Bills in Week 18. Buffalo is also seeking to make the playoffs themselves. Dolphins win, they get the AFC East and they will get the number 2 seed. If Buffalo wins, they have the opportunity to win the AFC East and host a playoff game going into next week. Now, there are some different scenarios where Buffalo can still get into the playoffs. If they lose, they can also get in with a Pittsburgh Steelers loss against the Baltimore Ravens or tie. Buffalo can also get in with the Jacksonville loss or tie. If Miami and Buffalo end in a tie, there's also a scenario where if Houston and Indianapolis also end in a tie, Buffalo can still get in. So for Buffalo, it's win and get in. However, if they lose, they can still lean on teams like Pittsburgh and Jacksonville to lose in order for them to clinch a playoff spot. One of the more interesting seedings is the AFC South because there's 3 teams trying to obtain the AFC South Division title, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Houston Texans. Jaguars played the Titans on Sunday in Week 18, and Houston and Indianapolis play against each other in Week 18. So let's start off with the Texans. The Texans can win the South with a Houston win or a Jacksonville loss or tie. Houston can clinch with a win or tie, a Jacksonville loss, and a Pittsburgh loss. So Texans are looking to win their game against Indy, and also rooting for Jacksonville to lose and Pittsburgh to lose, or for them to win the AFC South or also to clinch a playoff spot. The Colts, for them to win a division, they need to win and they need Jacksonville to lose. In order to clinch, they need to win and they would need Pittsburgh to lose in order to clinch a playoff spot. And for Jacksonville, in order to win the division, they need to win or Indy and Houston needs to tie. And for them to clinch, if they were to lose the game or tie, then they would need Pittsburgh to lose or tie. So that 3rd seed is a carousel of teams that can actually be the winner of the AFC South, and also the opportunity for possible of another team in that division to clinch a playoff spot this year. The Steelers, I would say, have the most different scenarios that they would need to play out, but there's a lot of opportunity. So let's break them down. So this Pittsburgh Steelers, they need a win and a Buffalo loss. Another scenario would be for them to win and for Jacksonville to lose. So if Buffalo beats Miami, they could still get in with a win against the Ravens, and also for Jacksonville to lose against the Titans. Another scenario, Pittsburgh wins their game, and then also with Houston and Indianapolis ending in a tie. Another long shot scenario would be if Pittsburgh ties, Jacksonville loses, and Houston and Indy end in a tie. And then one last situation would be for if Pittsburgh were to lose, they would need Jacksonville to lose, somehow Denver to win, and then Houston and Indy to end in a tie. So not only does Pittsburgh need to win, they need help elsewhere. But it's not just one team. It seems to be that it's Buffalo and Jacksonville. They have to go on the road to Baltimore, who's looking to play spoiler, playing their backups. They've already clinched their number 1 spot. They lost to the Steelers earlier this year, so I would expect that the Ravens want to take the opportunity to pull the rug from underneath their division rival and not allowing them to enter the playoffs. So that is kind of where things lay out. As of today, if the playoffs start, you have Baltimore at the 1 seed, the Dolphins at the 2 seed, the Chiefs with the 3rd seed, Jacksonville with the 4th seed, The Cleveland Browns with the 5th seed, they've clinched already. They will be benching Joe Flacco and some other starters as they prepare for their playoff run. The 6th seed as of right now would be the Bills, and then the 7th seed would be the Colts, with Texans and Pittsburgh outside looking in. So a lot of different scenarios. We'll keep an eye out and seeing how that plays out in the AFC. Now let's switch over to the NFC, where there are some spots still available and some division titles still available to be achieved. We have San Francisco with the number 1 seed. They've already locked up their division, and they've earned the number 1 seed. You have the number 2 seed as of right now is Dallas. Now, Dallas and Philly are still competing for the NFC East. The number 3 seed as of right now is Detroit. Tampa Bay and New Orleans, and also you could say the Atlanta Falcons, are fighting for the NFC South crown, and also possibilities of clinching into the NFC playoffs. The Los Angeles Rams would be the 6th team, and then you also have various other teams such as Green Bay, Seattle, and Minnesota. As far as with Dallas, in order for them to win a division, they just need a win. Philly needs Dallas to lose, and they need a win against the New York Giants. Tampa Bay, in order to win the NFC South, they would need to win against the Carolina Panthers. If they were to lose that game, they can still clinch an NFC playoff spot with a tie and a Seattle loss and a Green Bay loss. So if they were to lose that game, they'd be watching those games closely to see what the turnouts to be with them. The Saints have the opportunity to win the NFC South with a win against the Atlanta Falcons and a Tampa Bay loss. If Tampa Bay were to win, then New Orleans would need Seattle to lose and Green Bay to lose in order to clinch that final NFC playoff spot. A lot of scenarios for the NFC. Green Bay probably has the most wild for the NFC, probably just because they have a lot of scenarios that work in their favor if they were to lose this week. But if they win, they get in, they clinch that final spot in the NFC. For some reason that they tie this game in Week 18, they would need Seattle to lose, Tampa Bay to lose, and New Orleans to lose in order for them to get in that situation. They also, if for some reason Minnesota loses, they would be able to get in with Minnesota, Seattle, and Tampa Bay all losing. So if Green Bay can't take care of business, they can rely on some other teams losing. It would be more of those other teams that are beneath them, like Seattle, Minnesota. And with Minnesota, in order to get in, they would need to win, and also for Green Bay to lose, and they would need Seattle to lose and Tampa Bay to lose. So pretty much a long stretch for Minnesota to get in, but the way things come out in the NFL, they just need to take care of business with the win against the Detroit Lions and see how the rest of it plays out. So possibility for the 4th seed would be the NFC South division winner would be between Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Whoever wins the NFC South is most likely going to host a playoff game between the 2nd place NFC East team, whether that be the Philadelphia Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys. Now, one of those teams would be able to host a playoff game against that, but wouldn't like my chances of seeing either Dallas or Philly coming into town. But I know that Saints fans, at least some, would appreciate a playoff game and be able to host it, especially after this season. I know that the Saints didn't really get a chance to meet their expectations, but it's been a wild ride, and let's see what happens with one more week. So that's going to be your playoff projections going into the Week 18. A lot of games hindering of playoff spots and division titles up for grabs. Would be a very interesting Week 18. Let me know your thoughts if you think that the Saints can still clinch their division this week with the little help that they need. And who do you think will come out of the AFC South? Me personally, I think the Colts will take it. I do not trust the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think the Texans are a little bit hyped up because of their quarterback, C.J. Stroud. Now, I could be wrong, and C.J. Stroud is a very good player, and so is Trevor Lawrence. And so we'll see. I'm excited to see how that AFC South division is going to end up. So that is the end of the playoff projections going into Week 18. I am Marcelo Unda, and this is presented by theknow.com.